So the topic is solving trig equation. All right. Equations mean like x plus 5 equal to 0. You solve it. This is going to be x going to be negative 5. Okay. Then we learn about x squared plus like 6x plus 5 equal to 0. When you see this equation, so definitely they're going to ask us solve for x. We learn this is quadratic, this is linear. So we learn a technique how to solve this type of equation. So this one will be quadratic. One of the technique was opening two parentheses equal to 0. X, two number multiplies 5, add them is 6. It will be 5 and 1, correct? Plus 5 plus 1. Then x plus 1 equal to 0, or x plus 5 equal to 0. This x equal to negative 1, or x equal to negative 5. All right. Then we learn about exponential, rational function. So we learn a technique. But now we're going to have a question like sine square of x, or sine of x minus or plus 3 equal to 2.5. Just made it up. But when you see this equation, definitely is different with this type of equation, right? When you compare them, you love these equations that you used to don't like when you're comparing it, right? Because now we're dealing with sine. That means we are in trigonometry, we're talking about trigonometric equations. So the first step is the technique is if we have only one trig equations or functions, only if we have one trigonometric functions, so we solve it same as the linear one. We try to keep this, whatever we have, if it's sine, so I'm gonna keep the sine of x one side and equal to minus 3, we have 2.5 minus 3 will be negative 0.5. So sine of x equal to negative 1/2, which is same as 0.5. So they didn't ask us to solve for sine of x. We are looking for this x or theta, whatever is inside. So at this point, at this level, we are dealing with negative 1/2. Do we know sine of what angle is negative 1/2? Yes, correct, because 1/2 is something that we should know. So you're gonna go to your unit circle. Let me bring the unit circle. I have to go through all those pictures here. I don't know why it did that. So negative 1/2, 2 people on the waiting. Edison. So now we're dealing with -1/2. We look at the unit circle. Sine is value of y. We have -1/2 here. We also have -1/2 there. Good. So x will be 7 pi over 6, and x will be 11 pi over 6. So we got two solutions for sine of that is -1/2. For question for solving trig equation, usually they tell us some domain. They're saying x is between like 0 and 2 pi. So in one revolution, this will be the solution. All right. Any question here?
Yeah, I'm not exactly following. I mean, I got everything down to the 1/2. Obviously, I see that on the unit circle, but can you go over how you get that to the leap to the 7 pi 6 and 11 pi 6?
Sure, sure. That's a good question. So you're saying you're okay up to here, correct?
Right.
So we said sine of x equal to -1/2. So before we go here, I'm gonna ask a couple other questions. Like if I ask you what is sine of theta equal to radical 2/2, what do you think theta will be? Is that 0, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, or 90 degrees?
45.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 45.
Yes,
Yeah. I see
45
what-
degrees, correct? So
Yeah, I
when
did
we
wrong.
are
That's
here,
off.
so they're asking us what theta sine of that is radical 2/2. One of them is 45 degrees. If you look at the unit circle, radical 2/2 is here. We also have another radical 2/2. We always have two solutions. So one of them is 45 that we all know it because we memorize from 0 to 90. Another one is 135. So you're gonna say theta equal to 45 degrees or theta equal to 135. All right. We refer it to unit. So we need to look at this one to see what angle makes the sine. So now back to sine of x equal to -1/2. This x can be theta, alpha, whatever you like. So this is unknown. It says sine of, they're saying sine of what angle? I'm going to make question mark. That the answer is -1/2. So we need to go through all these angles to see which one sine of that is -1/2. So this is sine of 30 is 1/2. Sine of 45 is equal to 2/2. So we see this is all value of sine, correct? This is x and y. Y is a sine. We see -1/2 is here, and we also see -1/2 is there. This -1/2, correct? Referring to 7 pi over 6 or to 10 degrees. That means from here all the way here is 210. Sine of 210 is -1/2. Also sine of 7 pi over 4 or 315 is -1/2. Okay, so we find it. Does that make sense now, Jason? A little bit?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I had left off the negative when I was copying it over here, so that threw me off. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really helpful. Thank you.
Sure. Let's have another question. solve for theta over the interval 0 degree to 360 degrees. 2 sine of theta plus 1 equal to 0. So we are dealing with trigonometry. And one of the technique we just learned that we need to isolate whatever functions we have. So this is, they ask us to solve this theta and sine is connected to this, correct? So this guy should be one side of equal sign. I need to get rid of plus 1. I subtract -1. We have 2 sine of theta equal to -1. I divide by 2. I get sine of theta equal to -1/2. Look at from this one, which is different equation than the previous example, but we got something exactly the same. Sine of what angle is -1/2. Good. The good thing is if you do look at 5 or 6 different questions about this, you see a lot of similarity. So now what is theta? We go to unit circle. Theta should be this guy, -1/2, 210 degree, and 311. So the previous example I said 7 pi over 4, but actually is 11 pi over 4, and 330 degrees. Why did I left it in degrees, not radians? Because when you see the question they said 0 to 360 degrees. If they give us in radian, your job is to give us in radian. So in computer, when you submit it, is very important. Also, you need to put it in increasing order. All right. So in previous question, 11 pi over 4. That's good. So that was the first technique about how to solve. The second technique is question like this: solve sine of theta, tangent of theta equal to sine of theta. So we're going to solve for theta on this equation. And theta is in interval from 0 to 360 degrees. That's totally different look than previous 2 questions, correct? So what's happening here? I'm going to write it in different color, little bolder. So we have sine of theta multiplied by tangent of theta. The answer should be same as sine of theta. So definitely you're not able to go to the unit circle and test, for example, if I put 30 degree here, is that work or not? So we don't want to examine all those degrees. Is wrong approach. But you know, you got the idea. We are looking for what theta, that sine of that angle multiplied by tangent of that angle equal to sine of that angle. All right. Little notes like example, if we have 5x plus 3 equal to 2x. How do we solve this one? What was the first step?
Minus 5x.
Very good. We need, in order to solve, we need to have 0 the other side. As Karen said, negative 2x, negative 2x. It will be 3x plus 3 equal to 0. Now at this point, we solve it. We can factor it, we can solve it. But the idea is one side should be 0. So I'm going to subtract negative sine of x. Negative sine of theta and negative sine of theta. I get sine of theta tangent of theta minus sine of theta equal to 0. So we did a good move here. Any
Why
question?
can't sine? Why doesn't sine just cancel out?
Very good question, Elizabeth. Very good. So Elizabeth said, why you don't want to cancel this sign and that sign? Algebraically, if example, here we make another example. Example, if we have like 5 parenthesis x plus 2 equal to 5, right? We could cancel this 5, but when there's no problem, this is great. If we have 2x parenthesis x plus 8, for example, equal to x. Should I cancel this x? Algebraically, yeah, we can divide, same as we did here. I divide by 5 both sides. If we divide by x, we don't do this. Why we cannot do that? Because they ask us to solve for x, right? Somebody gives us money to solve for x, but here we cancel it. So we don't do that. Correct, Elizabeth? So yeah, that's true that you can divide by sine of theta to cancel it. Or in this example, we can divide by x to cancel the x. One reason we don't want to cancel, that's something we are looking for it. Second, because we have no idea about the x, because we don't know what is the value of that x, we don't allow to divide it, because x might be 0. Then here you're dividing by 0. That means you're just breaking everything. All right, does that make sense, Elizabeth?
Yeah.
So we don't divide by unknown. That unknown might be 0, and then we dividing by 0, that means everything will smoke out. We cannot have 0 on denominator. But if there is a number that we know, okay, 5, why not? We cancel it. That was a very good point. So I subtract negative sine of theta. So now I have sine of theta, sine of theta. I factor it. I get sine of theta, parenthesis, tangent of theta, minus 1 equal to 0. So factoring is another technique that you need to learn to solve trigonometric equations.
Wait, how do you get the -1?
If I take this sign, the sign that I'm circling, if I factor it out, this negative will be here and it will be 1 because sine of theta, I pulled it outside. If I multiply back, sine times tangent is sine tangent, sine theta times -1 gives me negative sine of theta. I need to make a camera here that you guys see my handwriting, right? This way helps you guys what I'm talking about. Okay. I am working on that, but it's too late for this semester. Karen, did you see the -1 now?
Yeah, it's okay. You do your best. Thank you.
Well, did you see? No. I know I'm always thinking how to teach better, but so I factor the sign. I'm going to make example for Karen. We have 5x minus 5 equal to 0. If I factor the 5, open parenthesis, x, this minus gonna go here. What number should I put instead of 5, Karen?
1.
1, because 5, now if I multiply back, I get what we used to have. Same here, this -1, this 1 comes from sine. So the technique here that you learned, factoring, is another one. So now we factored it, we can just apply to solve it. So what this means, that means sine of theta equal to 0, or tangent of theta minus 1 equal to 0. Same as before, when we factor, we said each piece should be 0. So actually that's a property in algebra. If we have two numbers that you multiply them, if you get 0, then one of them must be 0. A should be 0 or B should be 0. That's what I did. This is A, for example, this is B. So each parenthesis should be 0. Sine of theta, so now at this level is the unit circle time. We go to unit circle. So we got 4 solutions for this equation. I know you might see a little not complicated because we have a couple of steps and each step has their own technique. Overall, if you solve a few questions like this, you will get it. And It's complex, I know, but you should be happy that you know how to solve it. This is like advanced math. If there is a homework question like this, in order to submit it, you need to go from 0. So you're going to say theta are 0, comma, 45, comma, 180, comma, 225. So we have 4 solutions in increasing order. Any question here?
So just to confirm, since there's sine and tangent, if there's another one where it's, cotangent and sine, it'll also be 4 because it's 2 each.
All of them has
Yeah.
2 each, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's have another technique, and this is the last technique. So you learn about factoring, and you learn about the basic one that we had, like 2 sine of theta equal to 1, or -1 equal to 0. There's only there is one trigonometric functions in it. Another type, like, let me copy something here. We have cosine squared theta plus cosine of theta minus 2 equal to 0. This should be from 0 to 2 pi parenthesis. Solve for theta. So how do we solve this? So this is a different look, correct? We have degree 2 here. So we are able to use quadratic equations, or the way we solve quadratic equations. If we have a squared plus a minus 2 equal to 0, how do we solve for a? Factoring was one technique, right? Looks like I can factor it like a, 2, 1. We have plus, minus. That's how we factor it. So here, instead of a, I'm going to put cosine of theta. So I'm going to have cosine of theta minus 1 multiplied by cosine of theta plus 2 equal to 0. If we are not able to factor it, you will use negative b plus minus radical b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Quadratic formula. So we factored it. Now, cosine of theta minus 1 equal to 0, or cosine of theta plus 2 equal to 0. this one, we get cosine of theta equal to 1. So what is theta? Cosine of what angle is 1?
Zero degrees.
Very good. 0, because we have pi in radians, so we're going to put 0 in radians. Very good. So 0 is 1. Then we get -1, which is not 1. And that's it. So only 0 degrees or 0 pi. Now, Karen, since you challenging, tell me cosine of what angle is -2?
I don't see any.
You don't see any. Very good. Doesn't exist, correct? Cosine and sine, the maximum they get is 1, and minimum it gets is -1. So there's no solution for this. So only 0. Theta equal to 0 is solution. That means if I plug 0 here and 0 there, I'm supposed to get 0. Let's try. I have cosine squared of 0 plus cosine of 0 minus 2 should be equal to 0. Cosine of 0 is 1, then 1 squared plus this is 1. If you add them, you get 2. Then we have -2 equal to 0. So it's correct. We don't need to check it, but if you want it.
Okay, so there's
Say again, please.
there's not always two valid solutions then if it's like this
I
one
know
then.
you pay you got you got me on here. Well, this is 0 because we don't have only on this only when we have 0 or 1. When we're
Okay, I
dealing
got
with the axis. If here we had a bracket for 2 pi, then you could say 2 pi as well.
Got it, because
If
it
you
doesn't
link-
include
Yeah,
two.
this is very important. Sometimes they change it only from 0 to pi half. That means
Yeah.
only third quadrants. So you need to look into that.
If it includes the whole
Yeah, it
circle.
would be 2.
Yeah.
Two cosine squared of x minus radical 3 cosine of x equal to 0. Solve for x. X is between bracket 0, comma 2 pi. Any of you guys taking my summer class? No.
I would like to, but my wife would probably kill me.
Yeah, you're also your daughter will kill you. So we're gonna solve. Looks complex, but you have enough skill. and you don't want to just jump to it and solve it. So the technique is, if you have more than one trig functions, we should factor it. The good thing is we have 0 the other side, so that we pass the first step. What can I factor here? Yvette, what can I factor here?
The cosines.
Very good. So we can take the cosine. Let's pick one. Both of them, they're sharing cosine and cosine. If I factor the cosine of x, parenthesis, I get 2 cosine of x minus radical 3 equal to 0. If you multiply back, you get cosine square of x. If you multiply this by negative root 3, you get radical 3 cosine. So the factoring is good. Now we're going to go to the factoring properties. This multiplied by that gives us 0. What does it mean? Means cosine of x should be 0, or 2 cosine of x minus radical 3 equal to 0. If cosine of x equal to 0, x gonna be, Jason, what is x if cosine of x equals 0?
$90 or pi 2?
Very good. So one of them is pi half. Also, we have 3 pi half also is 0. So we got 2 solutions. We also 3 pi half. Both of them cosine of is 0. Now let's move to this one. So we need to have cosine both side. I'm going to add radical 3. We have 2 cosine of x equal to radical 3. I divide by 2. I get cosine of x equal to radical 3 over 2. Now what is x?
Pi over 6.
Very good, Karen. Pi over 6 radical. And what else?
11 pi over 6.
Excellent. And 11 pi over 6. So we got 4 solutions. How do we list them? From the smallest one. So we're going to go to from pi over 6. Then we go pi half. Then we go 3 pi half. Then 11 pi over 6. Good. So the weight system will give you a point, yeah, if you increase it in increasing order. Any question here? Let me pick something cool that you guys don't like. Okay, let me do one more and that's it. The question will be like, sine of x, parenthesis 3, sine of x minus 1. What's happening to my pen? Minus 1 equal to 1. X is between 0 to 360, I think it's. Karen will tell us what's the first step.
Get rid of the one.
Huh?
So minus. Get rid of the one and like
Very
have
good.
the equation equal to
So
0.
I know this side is factored form, and you like to use it. Oh, sine of x should be something, but here is 1. We need to have 0 in order to apply that formula. So I'm going to subtract 1. We're going to have sine of x times 3, sine of x minus 1, minus 1 equal to 0. Now we need to simplify this. So I have to multiply to expand it. We have 3 sine square of x minus sine of x minus 1 equal to 0. Now what should we do? Elizabeth will tell us.
Put them equal to 0.
No, we have equal to 0, but how do we solve this one? I mean, you need to factor it, correct? Are we able to factor it? If we have 3a minus a minus 1 equal to 0, are we able to factor this? We have 3a here, a, 1, 1. No, correct, it's not factorable. We have 3. We cannot factor this. So what should we do, Yvette? Yvette will tell us. It's not factorable. I know you guys don't like this. We use quadratic. This is my A. This is B. This guy is C. Negative B plus minus radical B squared minus 4AC divided by 2A will be negative positive 1 plus minus radical 1 minus 4 times 3 times negative 1 divided by 2 times 3. 1 plus minus radical 13 over 6. Pretty ugly, huh? So this will be sine of x. What is x? Do we have this on the unit circle? No, correct. The unit circle is out. Unit circle is out. That means sine of x equal to 1 plus root 13 over 6, or sine of x equal to 1 minus root 13 over 6. How, sine of what angle is 1 plus root 13 over 6? So this is not exact. We don't know it. So we're going to say x equal to sine inverse of 1 plus root 13 over 6. The inverse gives us the decimal point. Also, x equal to sine inverse of 1 minus root 13 over 6. So if it's not exact, if you don't see it on the unit circle, we use inverse. I didn't pick a good example to show you guys about the inverse because as radical, because one example here, sine of theta equal to 1/8, for example. What is theta? First, we look at the unit circle. Because it's not on the unit circle, we're going to use a calculator, and theta will be sine inverse of 1/8. So we're going to go over this in details on Friday. Good. So I'm going to post the homework up. You guys should be able to solve a few of them. Again, we're almost done. Yes, only 3 more sessions. So the solving is gone. You have only 2 questions in the final exam. Good. And we're going to have another topic, you have to learn about law of sine and law of cosine, which is fun.
Wait, Professor, the final exam is only 2 questions?
Did I say that, Elizabeth? There are 2 questions about
I don't know that.
there are 2 questions
Oh, okay.
about solving for the trigonometric equations.
Okay.
If you want, I can make it 2 questions, like different parts, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No, yeah. So if there's no question, enjoy your day and do your best for the next few days. And I'm sure all of you guys will pass the class and doing